a great deal of concentration, and frankly, you're giving me a headache.
Oh, totally. I know what that's like, you know? It's like when I'm driving at the end of the day, it's like in the sun, and my head is like, ding, ding.
I am not intimidated by your shouting. A true warrior fights not with words, but with...
Thank God I'm free of that nightmare!
Sorry, buddy. Here you go.
Thank you. It was cold down there on the floor.
Will you show some dignity for once in your life?
This isn't right. We can't just sit here.
We have to. Think of the others like us.
Not everybody has a mansion. And what are you doing?
I kind of ran into a dead end.
I thought you wanted to be on your own.
And nobody in my family is in show business.
Okay.
You know, everybody thinks everybody in LA is in show business. It's like, no, there's a whole lot of other jobs here.
What if the hero who saved your childhood wasn't even supposed to be a voice actor at all? He's the man who made Samurai Jack legendary, brought Green Lantern to life, and died memorably in the back of a car in Pulp Fiction.
I have an opinion.
Well, you gotta have an opinion. I mean, do you think that God came down from heaven and stopped us?
Well, Marvin's the only one they didn't kill on purpose. All the rest of the dudes in the room got shot on purpose.
But Phil LaMarr's journey from accidental gunshot victim to animation royalty hides secrets that will blow your mind. And here's what nobody tells you. He almost never became a voice actor at all.
Back then, voice acting was not a job description. So to me, this was just like, oh, I just got a cool summer job. Every summer, I do some episodes of a cartoon.
But before we dive into how a high school summer job changed everything, there are two things you need to stick around for. The shocking reason Phil had to re-record 3 entire episodes of Futurama that almost no one knows about, and the massive payday he lost that'll make you question everything about Hollywood contracts.
Hey, I auditioned for Cool Runnings. I can do a Jamaican accent. And I wound up switching it up.
Born on January 24th, 1967, in Los Angeles, California, Phil LaMarr grew up in a city where everyone dreams of stardom, but nobody in his family worked in show business. He wasn't supposed to be an actor. He was supposed to be, well, anything else.
You know, my school did a play based on a book that I loved, so I auditioned because I liked the book, not because I wanted to be in a play.
The path started in the most unexpected way. While attending Harvard Westlake School in North Hollywood, Phil landed a role as Humphrey Bogart in the school production of Play It Again, Sam. But that wasn't the moment that changed everything.
Back in 10th grade in high school, you know, we did a production of the Woody Allen play Play It Again, Sam, and I played Humphrey Bogart.
The real turning point came during junior year of high school when his mother's friend, Phyllis Tucker Vincent, a programming executive at NBC and the highest-ranking black woman in television history for 3 decades, called with an opportunity. They needed real kids for a new cartoon show, not professional actors, just kids who could read lines.
No black woman was as powerful as Phyllis. And she knew that they were going to use real kids for the Mr. T cartoon. And she, you know, knew that I did plays in high school. And she told my mom, he can come audition for this.
Phil showed up to audition for Mr. T, the animated series, never imagining this cool summer job would plant seeds for a career he wouldn't pursue for another 15 years.
And yeah, basically I've been performing ever since. Although it wasn't until after college that I realized, maybe I should try to do this for a living.
He got the role of Woody, voicing a character on Saturday morning television while his classmates were flipping burgers. But here's the twist. He didn't think of it as voice acting. That phrase didn't even exist in his world yet. After high school, Phil headed to Yale University, where he majored in English and joined the Purple Crayon, Yale's improvisational comedy group. The Ivy League education seemed to be steering him toward a traditional career path. Writing, perhaps, maybe teaching, definitely not cartoons.
Yeah, no, although it's funny because people go, oh, you went to Yale, did you graduate? It's like, what is that supposed to mean?
But Los Angeles had other plans. After graduating from Yale, Phil returned home in the late 1980s and started pursuing acting on-camera work specifically. Voice acting still wasn't considered a legitimate career path. If you wanted to pay rent in LA, you chased TV and movie roles. And Phil was struggling. After 1 year of barely booking anything, he stood at a crossroads. Was he really cut out for this?
It took a minute. I remember I was back home pursuing acting. After the first year, I was ready to quit. I was like, yeah, this isn't working. But then I stopped and asked myself, okay, but did you try your hardest?
Then came 1993, and everything shifted.
You know, 92, I was just doing guest spots on comedies, TV shows, little movie stuff here and there, and then it started to pick up.
Phil joined the Groundlings, the legendary Los Angeles improv and sketch comedy theater that produced comedic powerhouses like Pee Wee Herman, Phil Hartman, and Julius Sweeney.
Before I got on Mad TV, I was a member of a group in LA called The Groundlings, which was an improv sketch comedy group that some amazing people came out. Lorraine Newman, Elvira, Pee Wee Herman, Julia Sweeney, Phil Hartman.
It was at The Groundlings where Phil met someone who would accidentally change his life, Quentin Tarantino.
I was performing at The Groundlings and met Quentin Tarantino doing an improv show.
Julia Sweeney, Phil's fellow groundling who was starring on Saturday Night Live at the time, invited Tarantino to do an improv show with the troupe. Tarantino, already a rising name after Reservoir Dogs, jumped on stage and performed with Phil.
Julia, when she came back to LA, invited Quentin to come do an improv show at The Groundlings, and I was in the cast with him.
Fast forward to 1994, Quentin was casting his second film, Pulp Fiction, and needed someone to play Marvin, a small but crucial role. The casting director suggested LaMarr. Tarantino's response? Oh yeah, but there's this black guy at The Groundlings I think would be great. Find him.
Steve is actually the reason I was in that movie. Because he and his wife at the time, Julia Sweeney, were friends with Quentin, and they invited him to come to The Groundlings.
Phil was unknowingly competing against himself. The role of Marvin had just 5 lines. You're in the movie for maybe 5 minutes total, but those 5 minutes became iconic. Marvin, the accidental casualty in the back seat, the guy John Travolta's Vincent Vega shoots in the face mid-conversation. Oh man, I shot Marvin in the face.
Oh man, I shot Marvin in the face. Why the f did you do that? Well, I didn't mean to do it. It was an accident.
Became one of cinema's most darkly comedic moments.
Because if you say the guy who got shot in Pulp Fiction, you're like, wait, which one?
Which one, yeah.
You know, you have to, but if I say the guy who got his brains blown out in the back of the car, people go, oh! Then they know.
But here's what almost nobody knows. The script originally called for Marvin to be shot twice. Tarantino changed it because John Travolta convinced him that shooting Marvin twice, once on accident, once on purpose, would make Vincent too unlikable. So the scene became a single, shocking moment of chaos. And that decision saved Phil's character from being even more tragic.
Oh, if he shoots him the second time on purpose, that's going to be a negative, feel for Vincent in the movie. So he just cut it down to the one accidental shot.
The experience on set was surreal. Here's Phil, a relative unknown, sitting in a car with Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta, watching them banter between takes like old friends. Then the cameras rolled and Jackson transformed.
In my mind, I was taking a master class of acting. Before we shot the scene, we were off set and Sam's just nice dude talking about his daughter or golf or whatever. Yeah, just, whatever. Then when the cameras start rolling, he went away. And all of a sudden I looked over there and I was looking into the eyes of a different human being.
Phil learned something invaluable in that moment, the difference between being on camera and truly performing. He watched Jackson become someone else entirely, and it terrified him in the best way possible.
And your question about how I got that part? From my sketch comedy background.
But Pulp Fiction didn't launch Phil's career the way you might expect. The movie became a cultural phenomenon, won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, and earned 7 Oscar nominations. Phil got paid $5,000 and went back to auditioning for guest spots on sitcoms. His big break hadn't come yet. What Pulp Fiction did do was remind Hollywood that Phil LaMarr existed, and in 1995, that reminder paid off. Mad TV, Fox's answer to Saturday Night Live, was casting its original lineup. Unlike most of the other cast members, Phil already had significant experience. He'd been grinding in comedy clubs, improv theaters, and small TV roles for years. He auditioned, he booked it, and for the next 5 seasons, Phil became one of Mad TV's most versatile performers.
Luckily, at the same time the movie came out, I got Mad TV. A lot of people. That show was on for almost 15 years.
Wow.
A lot of people don't realize that because nobody watched it for all 15 years.
He wasn't a household name, but he was everywhere. His impressions ranged from Chris Rock to Michael Jackson to Barack Obama. His recurring characters became fan favorites. And buried within those 5 seasons was the skill that would define his next chapter, voice work. Mad TV started producing claymation segments featuring the cast. Phil voiced animated characters without makeup, without costumes, and discovered something remarkable. He loved it.
There weren't but 5 roles, so everybody went out for him, whatever they were. And to me, it's great because it shows the progress that we've made.
Because the cast was already getting paid for the episodes, they had us voice the animated characters.
Yeah.
And that's how I started getting my mic time.
When Phil left Mad TV in 2000, he made a decision. He was going to pursue voice acting seriously.
And then after a couple of years of that, I thought, you know what? I like doing that. Maybe I
Yeah.
should go pursue this voice acting.
Yeah.
There was just one problem. He had no voiceover agent, no demo reel, and no clear path into an industry that felt like an exclusive club. So Phil made a deal with the commercial agent. I'll audition for commercials if you introduce me to your voiceover department. He hated doing commercials. They scared him, bored him, didn't fit his style, but he needed a foot in the door.
I wound up finding a commercial agent who had a voiceover department.
Okay.
And I'm like, I hate doing commercials. I'm scared of them. I don't like them. I don't know how to do it. But I will do commercials for you if you hook me up with your voiceover people.
The gamble worked. Phil started booking voiceover gigs, and the roles started stacking up. Then came the call that would change everything. Matt Groening, creator of The Simpsons, was developing a new animated series, Futurama. The casting directors? The same women who'd cast Phil on Mad TV.
The casting women who cast us on Mad TV turned out to be the people casting Futurama.
They brought him into the room to audition for a character named Dexter, a boring, dumpy accountant and bureaucrat for Planet Express. Phil read the lines in a standard voice. It was fine, serviceable, forgettable. Then Matt Groening stopped him mid-session.
As an actor, when your character isn't working and they ask you if you can do something different, the answer is yes.
It did.
As opposed to, I am the bureaucrat of
Yeah.
Planet Express.
Phil said yes immediately. Of course he could do a Jamaican accent. What else was he gonna say? No, Matt, I can't. Please fire me? Absolutely not.
He was just a bureaucrat named Dexter. And then it wasn't really working. And Matt Groening came up to me and said, we want to do something different with the... Can you do a Jamaican accent?
Luckily, Phil had auditioned for Cool Runnings years earlier, so he had the accent in his back pocket. But here's the secret that almost derailed everything. They'd already recorded 3 full episodes with Dexter as a non-Jamaican character, so Phil had to go back into the studio and re-record all of Dexter's lines. Now as Hermes Conrad, the Jamaican bureaucrat with a Type A personality and a love of limbo.
And we went back and re-recorded the 3 episodes we had already recorded without the accent. And I'm sure those tapes are erased somewhere.
Those original recordings? Erased, gone, lost to history. Somewhere in a vault, there's a version of Futurama where Hermes sounds nothing like the character millions of fans know and love. Futurama became Phil's foundation in voice acting, but it was far from his only role. Between 1998 and 2001, Phil booked parts that would define an entire generation's childhoods. In 2000, Gendy Tartakovsky cast him as the lead in Samurai Jack, an animated series that broke every rule. Minimal dialogue, cinematic action, a samurai warrior displaced in time, battling to return home and defeat the demon Aku. Phil wasn't Japanese, he wasn't a martial artist, but when he auditioned, he understood something crucial. This character needed weight, dignity, and restraint. So Phil thought about his father, a man from Detroit, steady and strong, and channeled that energy.
I mean, I wasn't doing an impression of my dad,
yeah.
but I was trying to bring a little bit of that energy.
Sure.
Right? I was like, well, this is what a real guy might sound.
Samurai Jack became a masterpiece. Critics loved it, fans obsessed over it, and Phil LaMarr became the voice of one of the most iconic animated heroes of the 2000s. To this day, people approach him at conventions just to hear him say, I am Samurai Jack. But while Jack was fighting a coup, Phil was also bringing another iconic character to life, Jon Stewart, the Green Lantern, in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
Duty calls.
Duty calls.
I'll go with you.
Once again, Phil wasn't the obvious choice. The character was black, yes, but the role could have gone to someone more traditionally heroic sounding. Phil auditioned alongside Dennis Haysbert, the deep-voiced actor known for 24 and Allstate commercials, a man who looked and sounded like a superhero already. Somehow, Phil got the part.
He's basically 6'4", handsome black man.
Oh, right, yeah.
He basically looks
I got
like the cartoon character.
I got it.
And he auditioned before me. And I'm like,
and he didn't get
well,
it.
That's the dude. There's nothing to do but,
I mean, he looks like the character. He sounds like this, you know.
To me, there was nothing else to do except, I'm just going to do him.
For nearly a decade, Phil voiced Jon Stewart across multiple DC Animated Universe shows, establishing the character for an entire generation of viewers who grew up seeing a black Green Lantern as the definitive version.
No,
his name was Jon Stewart.
Jon Stewart.
Well, because there was, in the 70s, when comic books were trying to be relevant, they introduced this black backup Green Lantern.
But the workload didn't stop there. Phil also voiced Static in Static Shock, Hermes in Futurama, Wilt in Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Bulby in Jimmy Neutron, and dozens of other characters across cartoons, anime dubs, and video games. By the mid-2000s, Phil LaMarr was voicing 300-plus characters across his career. Most people had no idea.
300-plus credits on IMDb. but there's multiple characters within each show.
They knew the voices. They just didn't know the man behind them.
And it wound up working out. I wound up doing way more voiceover than I ever did commercials.
Which brings us to the ugly side of the industry, payment. In traditional TV and film, actors earn residuals, small payments every time their work airs. It's a system designed to reward performers for the longevity of their contributions.
You know, because in TV, you get paid, like as an actor, you do your work as long as that thing airs, because the idea is anytime it airs, it's generating some money for the guy who owns it. So like anytime you do something that generates some money, you're gonna kick us a little.
In animation, that system exists. In video games, it doesn't. Phil has worked on massive franchises: Metal Gear Solid, Mortal Kombat, Final Fantasy, Infamous, Dead Island, and more. These games generate billions of dollars. Grand Theft Auto 5 alone made over $5 billion, the most successful entertainment product in history. Phil didn't see a dime beyond his original session fee.
Games.
Not dime one.
That's a cold hustle right there.
In 2016, voice actors went on strike against major video game company, demanding better pay structures and residuals for games that became massive hits. The strike lasted over a year, the longest in Screen Actors Guild history.
And forced us to the longest strike in union history.
The companies refused to budge on residuals, but eventually agreed to small bonuses based on sales milestones. It wasn't a total victory, but it was progress.
We wound up coming to a compromise where, so there's a bonus structure in place now, you know, and we're a little bit closer to the video game wage being a living wage.
And yet, even with all the battles over pay, the controversy over representation, and the grind of voicing hundreds of characters, Phil LaMarr's career never stopped. In 2010, he starred as Cowboy Curtis in the stage revival of The Pee Wee Herman Show, taking over the role originally played by Lawrence Fishburne. The production ran in Los Angeles and on Broadway, introducing Phil to an entirely new audience.
I got to do Broadway because Paul was my friend.
Backstage after performances, celebrities lined up to meet Paul Rubens, Lou Reed, Salman Rushdie, David Bowie, Iman, Paul Simon. Phil stood in the wings, watching legends fanboy over Pee-wee. Then came 2020. Futurama returned for the 4th time, proving once again that you can't kill this show. It's a zombie. And Phil was back as Hermes, older, wiser, but still yelling about bureaucracy and manwiches.
Yes, we are back from the dead for the 4th time. We are the zombie of animation.
But perhaps Phil's most surprising move came in 2023, when he joined the writing staff of Extended Family, a sitcom starring John Cryer and Donald Faison. After 30 years of performing in sitcoms, Phil finally stepped behind the scenes as a writer.
Mike O'Malley. And he called me out of nowhere. It's like, hey, I'm working on this new show, and I'd love for you to be one of my writers. So I took a professional sitcom writing job.
It was a completely different skill set. Suddenly, Phil wasn't just thinking about his character. He was thinking about story structure, character arcs, casting decisions, and whether a joke would land 3 episodes down the line. It forced him to see television in an entirely new way. Today, Phil LaMarr continues working across animation, video games, and live-action projects. He's still voicing Hermes in Futurama. He's still appearing at conventions, where fans line up to meet the man behind Samurai Jack, Green Lantern, and hundreds of other beloved characters. His estimated net worth sits in the multi-million-dollar range as of 2026, a testament to decades of relentless work across every corner of the entertainment industry. But the real measure of Phil LaMarr's success isn't in numbers. It's in the voices that live in our heads. It's in the characters that shaped our childhoods. It's in the performances that made us laugh, cry, and believe in heroes. From a high school summer job voicing Mr. T to becoming one of the most prolific voice actors of his generation, Phil LaMarr built a career on versatility, resilience, and an unshakable love for the craft. And he did it all while most people never even knew his name.